Welcome to this very special interview with the Founder of the Year 2017. This prestigious award is given by the University of St. Gallen once a year. Enjoy this video. Welcome to this very special interview with the Founder of the Year 2017, an award that is given by the University of St. Gallen, and this year Lea von Bidder, co-founder of Ava Woman from San Francisco. So welcome to this very special interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So let's get just started. Tell me a little bit about how it feels to win such a prestigious award from the university.
Yeah, I mean, we're really happy and we're really honored. I think all the other nominees were really great. I know those companies, they're really impressive companies. So for us, it really means a lot winning this, and it's also nice to take something from St. Gallen with us along the way. For
sure. So Lea, you grew up in Zurich. We actually went to high school together, so it's very cool to be in front of the camera with you. So please give us maybe a little bit of background for all the people who have no idea who you are. Give us a little bit of who you are.
I'm originally from Zurich. We went to high school together. We just figured it out. It was like 12 years ago, more or less. So I was here in high school. I then went to St. Gallen for my bachelor's. So I did my business bachelor in St. Gallen for 3 years. After that, left St. Gallen, did a master in entrepreneurship at other universities. Then started my first company, which was a chocolate manufacturing and distribution company in India. And after that, came back to Switzerland and founded Ava with my co-founders.
Cool. So tell me, while you were studying at the university, how was your entrepreneurial thinking there? How was it with the support that you got while you started your entrepreneurial career?
I'm probably not one of those entrepreneurs that has like these childhood stories of startups that I started when I was 12. It really came a little later, I think. And I think really the starting point for me was I was on exchange in Montreal from St. Gallen, and I saw a concept there that I really liked, and I wanted to bring that to Switzerland. And I found a professor, and I know that's probably still not okay in St. Gallen at this point, but I found a professor who was okay with me writing my bachelor thesis as a business plan. So I managed to combine that, and that really helped me along the way.
So you recently moved to San Francisco, to the Silicon Valley, the mecca kind of startups where everyone wants to be. How is it to be Swiss in the Silicon Valley?
It's a really good question. It's probably being Swiss. No, I mean, I moved 1.5 years ago, and I think it probably took a little while to, get into the more Silicon Valley way of doing things. I think things are bigger, they're faster, they're much more about network. But I think now after 1.5 years, I kind of get the grasp of it.
So what's the grasp? Give us a little bit of maybe samples or examples that you can say, like, what is like the literal way of like Silicon Valley and how startups are being built there.
I was impatient before, but I think since living in San Francisco, I am absolutely impatient. Things have to go really fast. And I think we see that everywhere in the company, that in San Francisco, if you need a lawyer or you need a marketing opportunity or whatever else, you call them and they'll call you back on the same day. And there's no long, next week, maybe we want to talk. Things happen really quickly, which is, especially as a startup, really interesting for you, right? Because things move extremely fast. And then I think the other thing is really networking and inspiration from other people. So when you get to San Francisco, especially if you come from Switzerland, everything is amazing and big and everything seems crazy, and I think after a while you really get used to kind of distinguishing things from another, and you also get to know a lot of people who are really in this ecosystem.
I mean, the audience are a lot of students from the University of St. Gallen that look up to you as an entrepreneur who kind of made it already, a big funding round. What is kind of like the tip or the hints that you can say, like, well, this is something that you have to do to, go in this direction?
So first of all, I mean, there's still a lot of work ahead of us, so thanks for taking me as a role model, but I think we still have to do a lot of things. I mean, I don't know, I think in our case, it was, and I know that's a little bit the cliche, but I actually think that cliche is true. I think it's really important that you work on something that you really like, and that is really important to you. Because even if you found a startup and it always, from an outside, it always sounds so nice and lovely, but you'll have Monday mornings that are really hard. And you want to be working on something that you really care about. I think that's really the most important thing. As long as you really care about it, that's really going to bring you much further.
For sure. I mean, like St. Gallen has kind of the cliche of like being very focused on corporate consulting, investment banking, M&A. Tell me, why did you decide to go down the startup route and not going into corporate, like majority of the people?
Yeah, so I mean, when I came to St. Gallen, I thought that I'm going to go the corporate way. I did my internship at Procter & Gamble. I did my internship in a consulting company, you know, like the typical things you do as a SK student. And that changed throughout my bachelor. And I think it was really because I was just very curious and doing things on my own, and it started to come up, and I saw all the businesses that I really liked and I wanted to do it. So I think it was really deeply rooted in curiosity about doing something very different. I mean, you know, I could have also been really, really happy at Procter & Gamble or at any other company. I think you probably, you know, you can work on interesting problems wherever you go, but I think for me the startup route just was more interesting at that point.
Right. So, I mean, like, to wrap up a little bit this interview, I would like to know a little bit, you know, like, you're now the second woman in the series of Founders of the Year from the University of St. Gallen. So maybe you can give us a little bit of what it means to be a woman in the entrepreneurship atmosphere, you know, community. Is it like something very different, or how do you feel? Is it something harder or easier as a woman?
Well, I think you basically, to a certain extent, answered your question by saying that I'm only the second woman in this series. And I mean, I also do know the other woman who got the award in the past. And I think that's really the issue we have, right? There's still very few women in the startup environment. I mean, there's very few women in all the industries in Switzerland, possibly, but I think in the startup atmosphere and the environment, we have still a huge lack of women. Is it harder? Is it easier? I don't think I have a comment on that. I think there's things that are probably much easier for you because you're the only woman, so you get a lot of attention around things. But also there's a lot of things that don't go that easily because you're the only woman. So I think there's advantages and disadvantages to that. But in the end, I think as a startup ecosystem Switzerland, we need to be highly aware that we have a huge lack of women in the startup ecosystem, and that's definitely something that we as a startup community really need to fix.
Absolutely. So Lea, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations from my side on winning this prestigious award. Thank you very much everyone who watched that interview, and thank you for tuning in. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.